Hey everyone, it's Deanna. Today, we're diving into a creepy crime story. Stick around for the chilling details. On October 12, 2010, Helfrich shot her boyfriend 8 times in their shared apartment, resulting in his death. She was subsequently arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Helfrich's attorneys filed a motion to withdraw, which the trial court rejected. Despite a notice of appeal filed with this court, the appeal was quashed as interlocutory. Helfrich pursued a motion for reconsideration, which was also denied. In an attempt to seek appeal, Helfrich filed a petition with the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, but it was denied on July 10, 2012. As a result, the life prison sentence stands for the woman who claimed she shot her boyfriend 8 times by mistake. Fred McClure was initially from Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, but he later relocated to the town of York, which is approximately an hour away. Fred McClure had a history of spending time in prison due to various charges, but by 2007, he was endeavoring to turn his life around. In 2008, he became acquainted with a woman named Joann Helfrich, and by 2009, they were in a romantic relationship. Joann played a pivotal role in assisting Fred to reestablish connections with his children and grandchildren. Described as a motorcycle enthusiast, Fred was known for being a kind and loving individual. On October 12, 2010, at approximately 3:49 p.m., Joann called the police in a state of distress. She was hysterical and urgently requested an ambulance, revealing that she had shot her boyfriend, Fred, under the belief that he was an intruder. The dispatcher inquired if Fred was moving, and Joann responded that she didn't know. She expressed her inability to roll him over to initiate CPR. Upon police arrival, they discovered Fred lying on the living room floor, having sustained gunshot wounds with bleeding from his wounds, mouth, and nose. Unfortunately, he was pronounced dead at the scene. Joann was taken to the police station for further questioning. Joann, visibly upset but cooperative, recounted to the police that Fred had awakened her around 11:30 p.m. the night before, expressing health concerns. Given Fred's history of heart issues and a prior surgery, he required another surgery before his unfortunate demise. Joann mentioned that Fred had left for a doctor's appointment the next morning, and she returned to sleep until approximately 3:45 p.m., when a noise downstairs roused her from her sleep. Joann expressed doubt that the person coming downstairs was Fred because he typically announced his arrival by saying he was home. Feeling alarmed, Joann retrieved her gun from the nightstand and descended the stairs cautiously. She called out to the intruder, asking, "Who the fuck are you?" According to Joann, she could see a foot and pant leg, prompting her to pull the trigger. During the 911 call, Joann had acknowledged that she continued firing, ultimately emptying the clip.
You're County 911, dispatcher 111. I need an ambulance. I thought he was an intruder. It's not. He's my boyfriend. He's bleeding everywhere. Is he dead? No, I don't know. Please get the ambulance here. Now, I need it now. I know you're scared, but you have to do this for him. I can't roll him over. Please. I need an ambulance. Okay, I'm getting them to you, okay? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, Fred. Fred. Oh my God. He's bleeding everywhere.
According to Joann, the shooting was a horror.
911 dispatch.
It happened so fast.
Of Fred's wounds, there was something else Joann definitely didn't fit her story. Said was true, Joann's entire...
Pair that with the information that Joann had provided.
And once made aware back into the interrogation room, where Joann... But even...
I really did think he was an intruder. We know that you were together not too long before the shooting happened and you weren't sleeping.
You said it was dark in there too, and it wasn't.
God, I'm so intruder. I heard nothing.
So if I shoot my wife and she doesn't answer, you don't think I was reckless? Answer my question.
No, I'm not answering that question. That's an ignorant question. I'm done. I
I tried to be honest with you, and what I'm saying to you, you obviously have a different perspective on it. I'm sorry for that.
You don't have any choice but to charge it, right?
Prosecution that, contrary to what Joann had told,
It was never mean or hateful.
Oh my God, Fred.
Joann described the hallway as dark and proceeded downstairs. After turning on the light, she screamed in horror upon realizing that the person she had shot was, in fact, Fred. The police found Joann's account questionable, especially considering the crime scene. Investigators had reported no visibility issues inside the home, as there was ample natural light coming in through the windows. The investigators' findings cast doubt on Joann's assertion about the darkness in the hallway. To delve further into the situation, the police began questioning Joann about her relationship with Fred. They specifically asked if he had ever exhibited violent behavior, to which Joann replied in the negative. Joann informed the police that Fred had been associated with a motorcycle gang, and there were ongoing conflicts between his gang and the Hells Angels. She mentioned that the gang frequented Hooters, a spot near their apartment. Additionally, Joann revealed that their apartment had been burglarized a few weeks before Fred's death. Money and her jewelry were taken during the break-in. Joann expressed a desire to involve the police, but Fred had discouraged it. In response to the incident, Joann purchased a gun, a decision that reportedly angered Fred. The crime scene investigators discovered a .22 shell casing at the scene, along with several other casings of the same caliber in the trash can. The presence of these casings contradicted Joann's version of events, indicating that her account was not truthful. The autopsy report revealed that Fred had been shot 8 times, with the shot to his upper right chest piercing through his heart, making it potentially fatal. The severity of the wounds indicated a significant level of violence. In addition, the police interviewed neighbors in the vicinity who claimed to have seen both Joann and Fred at 3:30 p.m. on the day of the murder. The neighbors informed Fred that his car lights were still on, leading to a brief interaction. Joann had also been awake and present during this time, as she stuck her head out of the door. This contradicted Joann's earlier statement about being asleep until 3:45 p.m. The neighbors left briefly to get food, and upon their return, they found first responders at the scene. When the police confronted Joann about the inconsistencies in her story, she stuck to her claim that she thought Fred was an intruder. However, Joann's demeanor turned angry and confrontational during the interview. Eventually, she ended the questioning. Despite her protestations, the police had gathered enough evidence to charge her in connection with Fred's death. The prosecution acknowledged that they didn't have a precise understanding of Joann's motive. However, they asserted that Joann had been truthful about one aspect. She did initiate the shooting on the stairs and subsequently walked down to execute Fred. Did the trial court make reversible legal errors by denying Helfrich the right to plead guilty? Did the trial court make reversible legal errors by refusing to allow trial counsel to withdraw before the trial, despite Helfrich's agreement to the request? In her first claim, Helfrich argues that the evidence was inadequate to support the jury's first-degree murder verdict. She contends that the evidence related to specific intent and malice was insufficient, as she only fired shots at a person whom she believed to be an intruder. When evaluating a sufficiency claim, the court must assess whether the evidence, along with all reasonable inferences deducible from it, viewed in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth as the verdict winner, is enough to establish all the elements of the offense beyond a reasonable doubt. In her second claim, Helfrich contends that the jury's verdict was contrary to the weight of the evidence. She specifically argues that the Commonwealth failed to present evidence establishing her intent. Helfrich maintains that while the evidence might support a verdict of third-degree murder, the jury's decision to convict her of first-degree murder goes against the weight of the evidence. In her third claim, Helfrich contends that the trial court made an error by permitting testimony about the victim's set of keys, which had been released to the victim's family by the Commonwealth. Helfrich asserts that the testimony regarding the keys was significant to the guilt determination because the Commonwealth used it to argue that the sound of the keys was distinctive to the victim, suggesting that she could not have mistaken him for an intruder. Helfrich argues that the keys should have been accessible to her during the trial under certain legal provisions. In her fourth claim, Helfrich asserts that the trial court made an error in rejecting her guilty plea. She contends that the court declined the plea partly because a family member of the victim wrote a letter implying non-support for the plea agreement. Helfrich also argues that the court rejected the plea agreement because it would not accept a plea from an individual who maintains their innocence. Helfrich asserts that her personal beliefs about her defense should not be a grounds for refusing a negotiated guilty plea. In her fifth claim, Helfrich argues that the trial court made an error in rejecting her attorney's motion to withdraw. She asserts that she submitted an application to the public defender's office, but it was denied because prior counsel had not withdrawn representation. Helfrich contends that her application with the public defender's office demonstrates her desire to no longer be represented by trial counsel. The trial court determined that Helfrich's inability to pay counsel did not necessitate withdrawal. However, the court explicitly mentioned that it would approve the motion to withdraw once an attorney from the public defender's office took on the case. The record lacks evidence that Helfrich actively sought new counsel, and no public defender's office attorney entered an appearance. Additionally, Helfrich did not present evidence of a breakdown in the attorney-client relationship, nor did she demonstrate that trial counsel failed to fully litigate her defense. Upon review, it is concluded that the trial court did not abuse its discretion in denying trial counsel's motion to withdraw. Therefore, Helfrich's claim in this regard is not substantiated. On November 8, after an hour of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict, finding Joann Helfrich guilty of first-degree murder. Consequently, she was sentenced to life in prison. The pathologist who conducted Fred's autopsy testified that if Joann had shot him from the stairs, all the trajectories would be similar. However, the examination revealed some trajectories were upward, suggesting that Fred was already on the ground during those shots. This indicated that Joann likely stood over him for the last few shots. The defense argued that Joann's actions constituted imperfect self-defense, asserting that she did not intentionally kill Fred, but was rather negligent. They contended that Joann did not want to leave Fred, emphasizing the exchange of loving messages between them on the day of the murder. The defense sought to present Joann's 911 call to the jury, highlighting her apparent distress. In an attempt to resolve the case, Joann offered a negotiated guilty plea to murder of the third degree, proposing a sentence of 20 to 40 years in prison, along with costs and restitution. However, the trial court rejected this plea, leading to a jury trial where Joann was ultimately convicted of murder of the first degree. The trial court mandated the life sentence. Following the conviction, Joann's attorneys notified her that they would cease working on her case without payment. Subsequently, after procedural developments not pertinent to this appeal, Joann's post-sentence rights were reinstated on July 3, 2013. She filed a post-sentence motion, but the trial court denied it on November 8, 2013. Joann Helfrich presents the following questions for review on appeal. Is the Commonwealth's evidence legally insufficient to support the jury's determination that Helfrich committed first-degree murder? Does the jury's verdict deviate from the weight of the evidence presented by the Commonwealth? Did the trial court make reversible legal errors by permitting the introduction of evidence concerning a set of keys that had not been properly preserved? On November 5, 2012, Joann went on trial. The prosecution argued that Joann had grown discontented with the relationship and was particularly unhappy because of Fred's involvement in a motorcycle gang. Joann had been vocal about her dissatisfaction with how the gang treated women. It's understandable that the case and Joann's actions may leave you with a sense of uncertainty and questions about the motive. The legal proceedings and evidence presented during the trial play a crucial role in determining guilt or innocence. In situations like these, the legal system aims to assess the available evidence and deliver a fair judgment. Your perspective on a potential argument and tragic outcome reflects the complexity of human relationships and the impact of such events on the lives of those involved. Legal cases often bring forth emotions and moral considerations, and discussions surrounding them can be challenging. If you have further questions, or if there's anything specific you'd like to explore or discuss, feel free to share your thoughts. Thanks for joining today's crime journey. I'm Diana, your guide in the shadows. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's keep exploring mysteries together. Stay curious, stay alert, and see you next time. Take care.